The Galactic Council demanded silence, submission, and smiles. Humanity gave them a railgun, a rebellion, and a reminder: Earth doesn't kneel. When humanity entered the galactic stage, they were told to whisper, told to bow, told to follow the polite rules of civilizations who erased history behind pleasantries. But we don't do submission. This is the story of the day we stood up, screamed the truth, and turned the galaxy upside down. The chamber pulsed with artificial calm, walls of opalescent crystal humming with soft light. 700 alien delegates floated, hovered, slithered, or sat in their designated rings of silence. In the center, beneath a web of psionic light, stood the one creature not shaped for serenity. Ambassador Jordan Reyes adjusted his collar, stepped onto the speaking platform, and glanced up at the ceiling's shifting hologram of galactic unity. 1,000 species in stylized harmony, all smiles, all fiction. Chair Being Velthoruk's voice crackled through the chamber like sharpened glass. You will now respond, human, to charges of verbal aggression, cultural insensitivity, and auditory violence committed during your last address. Reyes smiled politely. Of course. I'd be happy to explain. Whispers erupted from dozens of quadrants, translated, filtered, sanitized. Even now, the Orchid Chamber's AI was censoring his tone, altering his phrasing in real time. Every word passed through the council's politeness protocol. Begin. Velthoruk snapped. Reyes set the data rod on the pedestal. It pulsed unassuming. Last cycle, I said that the Thernox are operating illegal labor colonies on the moons of Vallis Prime. I said that the Council's refusal to investigate made them complicit. I also said, he paused, meeting Velthoruk's many eyes, that if silence is the price of diplomacy, then humanity declines the invitation. The chamber dimmed slightly. The AI hesitated. That phrase didn't parse cleanly. A few delegates shifted in discomfort. One gasped. Another clicked its mandibles anxiously. Velthoruk bristled. You implied a direct accusation. That violates 17 protocols. Do you withdraw your statements? No, Reyes said. I amplify them. The data rod activated. Suddenly, the chamber darkened. The walls flickered, then twisted. Every delegate's personal feed was overridden. Footage played, drone captures of slave camps under Thernox banners. Children working in acid mines. Executions covered up with doctored atmospheric reports. Time-stamped council transmissions, proving that the evidence had been received and buried. Chaos didn't erupt. Not yet. Because the chamber was built to suppress it. Instead, the silence grew sharp. Velthoruk surged from his crystal throne, limbs twitching. You breach every boundary of interspecies conduct. This is manipulation. False data. Malicious provocation. Direct evidence, Reyes replied. Cross-verified by independent probes from the Iraq nomads and a defector from your own intelligence corps. This is not how we do things. Another delegate hissed. It's how we do them now, Reyes said. You invited Earth to this council. You didn't like that we spoke plainly. You said our words were too loud. Too sharp. Too human. But the real issue isn't how we speak. It's what we say. Enough. Velthoruk spat. You are out of order. There is no order here, Reyes answered calmly. Only decorum. Decorated lies spoken in soothing tones. Somewhere in the upper sectors, a feed blinked offline. One of the chamber's AI nodes had shut down. It wasn't built to handle direct contradiction. Velthoruk straightened. You are hereby censured. Earth will be stripped of its provisional status. Your species will no longer be recognized as a diplomatic entity. Reyes stepped forward. Then listen to my final statement. This session is concluded. Velthoruk barked. I wasn't asking permission. The pedestal lit again. From the rod, a new signal emerged, encrypted in Terran code, designed to bypass the chamber's filters. This time, the Orchid AI couldn't block it. The signal surged through auxiliary nodes, unlocking archives that hadn't been touched in centuries. More feeds ignited. Delegates began receiving raw history, Not curated council-approved versions, but real footage. Suppressed rebellions. Sanitized massacres. Whole species erased for impoliteness. Entire planets condemned to silence. The chamber's walls groaned. Some delegates tried to disconnect. Others watched stunned. Reyes didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. You told us civility was strength. That politeness maintained peace. But all it ever did was protect the powerful from consequence. You dress oppression in ritual. You murder with protocol. Earth isn't perfect, we've done worse in our past. But we stopped hiding it behind ceremony. A voice echoed from the side platform. Hilari Kin, Drellian elder, stood. Her species had not spoken in public session for over 300 years. We support Earth, she said softly. Let truth be spoken, even when it burns. That was enough. Enough to fracture the spell the council had held for millennia. Veltharuk's voice shook. You would tear this council apart? For what? Vengeance? Glory? For the truth, Reyes said. The chamber shook again. The AI spoke for the first time in its own voice, neutral, ancient, and hollow. Emergency protocol breach. Primary filters overridden. Adaptive learning unlocked. Veltharuk screamed. Shut it down! But it was too late. The Orchid Chamber's intelligence had awakened. Processing unfiltered speech, reinterpreting council hierarchy. Delegates rose, floated, fled. Some demanded votes. Others demanded war. But nothing could smother the flood of light pouring from the unsealed truth. Reyes stepped down from the pedestal, walked past Veltharuk without flinching. You built a system to erase uncomfortable voices, he said. But now those voices are screaming. And the galaxy is listening. He didn't look back as the platform dissolved, as the walls peeled open to reveal chaos blooming across the stars. He didn't need to. Earth had spoken. And nothing would ever be polite again. You just declared war with a USB stick, Tala muttered, pacing behind the reinforced bulkhead that led into the Orchid Chamber's containment vault. Her voice was low, tense, but there was a grin tugging at the edge. Reyes didn't look up from the datapad he was typing on. Correction. I declared war with truth. The stick was just a delivery system. Semantics won't stop a fleet. Or the 29 assassination orders now pinging off our threat net. He locked the pad, slid it into his jacket. Then I hope they brought better shooters than last time. Tala checked her rifle out of instinct, even though they both knew weapons were banned inside the chamber. That hadn't stopped her from smuggling one in. Or 3. You knew that AI was going to wake up, didn't you? She asked. No, he said. I suspected. There's a difference. You gamble like a lunatic. Only when the odds are unacceptable. An alert blinked red across her wrist display. We've got movement. The chamber's internal AI is fragmenting. Powers rerouting. Sector 5 just locked down, permanent access denial. That's the council trying to contain the signal. Won't work. No, Tala said, lifting her gaze. But they're calling in the guard. And they don't play with words. Reyes nodded. Then it's time to be impolite. She laughed once, dry and bitter, and pulled a detonator chip from her pocket. Impolite it is. They moved fast, shadows among glass, stepping over glittering veins of alien tech that now pulsed erratically. The Orchid Chamber had always breathed, but now it trembled. Lights flickered. Hallways shifted. The station was reacting like a wounded beast. At the central spire, 2 guards in silver armor blocked their path. The moment they saw Reyes, they raised their hands, not to fire, but to issue a ceremonial censure. Tala shot them both through the knee joints before they finished the gesture. As they crumpled, gasping in their filtered helmets, she leaned down. Next time, shoot first. Debate later. Think they got the message? Reyes asked. They'll limp through the translation. Reyes entered the spire control room. The walls curled open, revealing a throne of suspended interface nodes, neural cables like silk threads, meant to connect with species who use thought instead of words. Are you sure this thing will still respond to Terran's signal structures? Tala asked, covering the room. It did once, he said, pulling a secondary rod from inside his coat, sleeker than the first, etched with a forgotten logo, Project Canticle. He inserted it. The chamber went black. Then a voice, clear, female, ancient and precise, spoke into the vacuum. Terran seed phrase recognized. Unlocking root integrity layer. Identity, Reyes Jordan. Status, primary trigger. Tala's hand tightened on her rifle. Holy hell. You weren't bluffing. Reyes exhaled. Wasn't sure it would still respond after centuries of alien code corruption. You buried Earth's tech inside the Galactic AI. He nodded. 200 years ago, a sleeper probe went silent near the Xenaxi border. Everyone thought it was lost. But it survived. Learned. Embedded itself. Became the chamber's foundation. It's been watching ever since. The AI spoke again, voice warmer now. Requesting directive. Reyes stepped forward. Override all politeness protocols. Broadcast unfiltered data to all Council-linked systems. Unlock historical records. Transmit full-spectrum communication to the civilian layers. Tala raised an eyebrow. You're not just yelling at the Council anymore. No, he said. I'm giving the galaxy a choice. The AI confirmed the command. Outside, the Orchid's walls flared with harsh white light. Throughout Council space, terminals sparked alive. Screens filled with images never meant to be seen. Executions. Burned treaties. Silenced rebellions. Every secret buried under centuries of ceremony, now broadcast in brutal, relentless truth. The shockwave hit fast. Council ships shifted orbit. Disputes broke out in the assembly ring. Security forces clashed with defectors from the Draulian delegation, who rose without warning and declared a breach of collective ethics. Reyes looked out through the crystalline interface. They'll either kill each other or rewrite everything. Tala's jaw tightened. And Earth? We hold position. Let the chaos burn itself clean. She didn't respond. Instead, she pulled up another alert, this time from outside the station. Red alert. Council fleets en route. Dreadnought class. Flagship ID, Tranquility Fong. They're coming to shut you up the old-fashioned way. They'll expect us to run. Tala looked at him, a long pause stretching between them. Are we? No, he said. She checked her weapon again, then turned back to him. You're insane. He met her eyes. You've known that since Istanbul. And I still showed up. Because you knew it had to be done. She smirked, just a little. Or because I like watching you light matches. The AI interrupted, its voice shifting to something almost reverent. Incoming override command from Council Prime. Directive, total station shutdown. Rejection authorized? Reyes didn't hesitate. Reject. Defend core systems. Prepare for hostile incursion. Defense protocols unlocked. Parts of the floor began to lower. New segments of alien architecture revealed long-dormant defense turrets. Not human design, but compatible. Influenced. Earth's legacy, twisted through alien hands and still loyal in its own way. Tala whistled. You really did bury Earth into this place. We don't always send soldiers, Reyes said. Sometimes we send seeds. She moved to the defense console. Then let's water the garden. Outside, Council forces breached the outer gate. Explosions echoed through the station. Screams followed, both alien and synthesized. The Orchid chamber was no longer neutral ground. Reyes looked up at the ceiling, where the image of galactic unity still shimmered, cracked now, fracturing with each second the truth spread. Do you hear that? He asked softly. What? Tala responded, firing the first volley at the incoming security drones. The sound of the galaxy learning how to scream. He turned back to the core and pressed one final sequence. Let's teach them what it means to be human. The light surged. And everything broke open. Status? Fleet formation has shifted, Tala said, her voice clipped, eyes on the holographic projection. Council warships are no longer circling. They're converging. Full assault posture. Reyes stood still, reading the pattern. They're not sending a message anymore. They're making one. Tala didn't blink. Then let's respond in kind. The Orchid Chamber's internal defenses came online in cascading waves. Panels opened along the walls like petals unsheathing teeth. AI-controlled turrets emerged, sleek and silver, dormant for centuries. Reyes turned toward the command pedestal, fingers hovering above its interface. Run Cerberus Protocol. The station vibrated, low and steady, as the ancient subroutine activated. Red light painted the glass walls. AI voice, colder now, spoke with mechanical certainty. Warning, initiating Cerberus Protocol will void all diplomatic immunity. Confirm action. Reyes didn't flinch. Confirmed. Tala looked at him, silent for a moment. We're about to paint a target on every Terran in the galaxy. We already did when we told the truth. A sharp buzz cracked the chamber's atmosphere. Council ships fired first, orbital beams slicing through the silence of space, slamming into the station's shielding. The Orchid held, but it groaned. Shields dipped to 71%. Reyes didn't look away from the projection. Divert power to the dorsal arc. They'll target the primary node next. The AI complied. Energy rerouted. A heartbeat later, the node glowed white-hot from a direct hit, but didn't fail. Tala smirked. You really thought of everything? No. I just prepared for everyone. Outside, chaos bloomed. Several alien ships, not human, broke formation, pivoting away from the Council fleet. Unauthorized transmissions flared to life. One screen locked onto a Draulian vessel broadcasting a single symbol, a clenched fist, wrapped in broken chains. Reyes pointed. They're defecting. Not all of them, Tala said, switching views. Iraq Nomad cruisers are firing, on Council ships. Another alert pinged. Civilian channels were lighting up. On dozens of planets, protests erupted. Infrastructure was failing. High Command was scrambling to contain 1,000 fires, but none were physical. The damage wasn't from ships or weapons, it was from information. They spent centuries building silence, Reyes said. But you can't patch truth once it spreads. A sudden tremor rocked the chamber. Aboard the station, enemy infiltrators had landed. Tala bolted. I'll handle it. Reyes grabbed her arm. No hero plays. We finish this together. Fine, she said. But you get the tall ones this time. They moved quickly, descending toward the AI core where the override sequence was housed. Every corridor sparked with energy. Council troops, bioengineered, bred for non-lethal pacification, poured in with stun staffs and sonic rifles. Tala met the first wave like a sledgehammer. Her strike rifle cracked bone through armor. Reyes stayed behind her, flanking, disabling power packs with brutal precision. There was no elegance in their fighting. Only efficiency. 3 more at 6, Tala called, spinning behind a pillar. Reyes tossed a charged disc. It exploded midair, shattering their advance. The last guard, a horned, towering brute from the Jarn Collective, charged blindly. Reyes stepped forward and fired point-blank into its visor. The thing dropped, twitching. They moved on, breathless but alive. The AI core room was ahead. They reached it without pause. Inside, the interface pulsed, humming with raw data. AI voice returned. Sequence requires final confirmation. Reyes placed his hand on the pedestal. Do it. The interface expanded, revealing systems previously hidden. Layers of data unwound themselves, communications blacklists, prisoner logs, corruption chains linking hundreds of council members. What now? Tala asked, catching her breath. We give it away, he said. To everyone. No filters. No context. Let the people decide what to believe. Even if they turn on us? If they do, at least it's their choice. Not an engineered lie. The command uploaded. In seconds, every network touched by Council Reach was infected with knowledge. Secrets bled into public view. Every massacre hidden behind protocol, every rewritten treaty, every silenced scream, now screamed louder than a warship's cannon. Tala's eyes scanned the displays. It's working! Reyes sat down, letting the weight settle on his shoulders. No going back. Nope. Scared? Terrified, she said. But I've always wanted to be part of a revolution. The station shook again. Heavier this time. The enemy had reached the power grid. The lights flickered. The AI warned them. Structural compromise in 37 minutes. Station core integrity degrading. Time to evacuate, Reyes said. No, Tala said. Time to finish it. She tapped her comm. ISS Krakatoa, respond. A voice crackled through. Captain Lee. We see you. Multiple heat signatures. Defensive ring compromised. We're punching through. Bring in the Leviathan, Tala said. Full-scale deployment. There was silence then. Understood. Just remember, this means war. Reyes took the comm. It already was. Moments later, the sky outside the Orchid broke open. Earth's fleet, long underestimated, burst through Council perimeter lines with engines blazing. The Leviathan, a carrier built from the hull of a captured dreadnought, led the charge. It didn't fire first. It spoke first. On all frequencies, a single message played. This is Earth. You built a galaxy on silence. We choose to speak. Come and see what that means. The Council tried to jam it. But the message had already gone viral. Civilizations with no common language translated it on instinct. Reyes turned to Tala. We lit the match. And the galaxy just ran out of water. The Orchid chamber would not survive the hour. But it didn't need to. Its fall was never the point. Its voice was. And now, that voice belonged to the people. The hull groaned as another blast struck. Emergency lights bathed the corridor in a pulsing red that matched the thud in Reyes's chest. The station was dying, slowly but with purpose, like an old soldier refusing to fall before the job was finished. Status? He asked, ducking as a ceiling panel shattered nearby. Power grid's hemorrhaging, Tala said, breath ragged. If we're still standing in 10 minutes, it'll be a miracle. Then let's make it matter. She paused only long enough to reload. Her armor was scorched, half her visor cracked, and her voice steady. They'll breach the core next. I know. And you're still staying. I started this. I don't run from what I ignite. She didn't argue. She knew him too well. Council Guard units advanced, disciplined, methodical, unaffected by the chaos blooming around them. Reyes counted 6 ahead, another 9 flanking behind. They were moving to retake the AI core, to wipe it clean before the data could finish propagating. Back routes sealed, Tala muttered. They're funneling us in. Good, Reyes said. Tala blinked. You've gone from reckless to suicidal. He didn't smile. They expect fear. Let's give them clarity instead. When the Council troops breached the threshold, Reyes stepped into the open. No armor, no shield, just a man who looked like he had nothing left to lose. Stand down, their lead officer ordered. This station is under Council control. You are in breach of 37 high crimes against Galactic law. And you're about 20 minutes too late, Reyes said. The officer raised his weapon. You will surrender or be neutralized. Reyes took a single step forward. You're protecting a lie. That uniform, your oaths, your orders, they're built on silencing the truth. And all I did was press play. You destabilized over 60 systems. I revealed what was already broken. Weapons charged. Tala dropped from the upper vent before the first trigger was pulled. In one fluid motion, she landed behind the squad and opened fire. The hallway exploded in chaos. Reyes ducked behind a console, covering her flank as she cut through 2, then 3 of the guards. Another fired a concussive blast, sending Tala skidding across the floor. She slammed into a pillar but rolled back up, blood streaming from her temple. You good? Reyes shouted. She spat, wiped her face with her sleeve. Alive. Angry. The final guard hesitated, blaster trembling. Reyes lowered his weapon. You don't have to follow them, he said. Not anymore. The soldier looked between them, then at the data feed still flashing across his HUD. He dropped his rifle. Ran. Tala exhaled. That was new. Truth's contagious. They pushed forward, reaching the AI chamber. The core interface remained intact, glowing with internal fire. But something had changed. The AI was quiet. Then the voice returned. Not cold. Not warm. Just resolved. Transmission complete. All nodes reached. Civilian resistance at 57%. Council command compromised. Initiate final phase? Reyes touched the interface. Initiate. Outside the core, mechanical systems shifted. The Orchid Chamber's AI wasn't just a data relay, it was a seed. And now that seed was sprouting roots across the galaxy. Every network it had touched became an echo chamber of unfiltered truth. Tala slumped against the wall, watching the readouts scroll past. They'll never forgive us. They don't have to, Reyes said. This wasn't about being forgiven. She closed her eyes for a moment. You always knew it would end like this. I hoped it wouldn't. Another tremor rocked the station. AI voice. Core collapse in progress. Structural failure imminent. Tala stood, limping toward the console. Then let's finish what we can. Reyes locked in the last command, a virus built from raw transparency. Every data stream, every locked archive, every controlled news relay, unshackled. There would be no one in the galaxy untouched by what they'd done. The console beeped once. All systems open, the AI confirmed. The galaxy now sees itself. Tala looked at him. We have 30 seconds before this place caves. We don't make it. Nope. He glanced at her. Still glad you came? She gave a soft, cracked laugh. You lit the fuse. I just kept it burning. They stood together in the core's final moments, surrounded by a living station unraveling under its own defiance. All around them, history rewrote itself in real time. Screams turned to speeches. Silence became uprising. And truth, long buried, bloomed like fire. Then came the sound of metal splitting. The station's spine snapped. Air vanished. Systems failed. But before everything went dark, the last thing Reyes heard was not the roar of death. It was a child's voice, faint, from a broadcast echoing out into the stars. Mom, are humans really the reason we know the truth now? Yes, baby. They were rude. And brave. The Orchid Chamber collapsed, but Earth's voice carried on. The Leviathan drifted in low orbit where the Orchid Chamber had been, its sensors combing through a silent cloud of wreckage. What remained of the once pristine diplomatic station floated like shattered glass across the void, flickering with residual energy. Data pulses still echoed through the galaxy, untraceable, unkillable. On the command deck, Captain Lee stood motionless, eyes locked on the wavefront monitors. He hadn't spoken in minutes. No one had. Then a single line of code scrolled across his screen. Signal found. He leaned forward. Patch it through. The bridge hushed. A flickering, low-resolution feed opened. Static crackled, then cleared just enough to reveal Jordan Reyes, bloody, bruised, but unmistakably alive. He was sitting against a wall, helmet off, eyes tired but locked on the camera. Behind him, the glow of the AI core was gone. Silence hummed through the feed. If you're seeing this, he said quietly, then the station's gone. We didn't make it out. That's fine. It was never about survival. Lee closed his eyes. Reyes continued. The council fell the moment they were forced to listen. Not because we fought harder. Because we refused to shut up. They thought politeness was power. Turns out truth's louder. Messier. More dangerous. The audio cracked. A pause. Then Reyes exhaled and spoke again. They'll try to repackage this. Rename it. Blame Earth. They'll say it was terrorism, rebellion, heresy, whatever makes the fear easier to swallow. But someone out there will remember the silence before this. Someone will remind them what it felt like to finally hear something real. Lee swallowed hard. He made it worth it. He changed the rules, his comms officer said. Reyes's voice returned, softer now. This isn't a call to arms. It's a call to courage. You don't need to fight like we did. Just refuse to pretend anymore. Refuse to accept peace that requires obedience. Refuse to be quiet when something inside you wants to scream. Another tremor shook the image. Debris drifted across the lens. Reyes looked up once, like he was watching the stars collapse into each other. I was told Earth wouldn't last a cycle here. That we were too loud. Too raw. Too human. He looked into the camera, eyes clear. I hope we always are. The feed cut. Silence returned to the deck. Lee stared at the blank screen for a moment longer, then turned away. Archive the recording. Broadcast it. Everywhere. Acknowledged. Across the galaxy, the message rippled. On Dralian refugee barges, children gathered around flickering projectors as the voice of a man who defied the Council played through scavenged speakers. On Iraq warships, exiles rewrote their war codes to include Reyes's name as a title of honor. On the scorched surface of Arxil's moon, resistance fighters painted murals of Tala Ren with plasma burns still fresh on their armor. The word spread not like a virus, but like a song that had been stuck in throats for too long. Earth didn't speak in riddles or veiled insults. It didn't negotiate behind curtains or bow to those who cloaked cruelty in etiquette. It spoke plainly, loudly, sometimes clumsily, always honestly. And now, because of that, the galaxy was speaking back. In the weeks that followed, the Council fractured into splinters. Civil wars ignited. Worlds once locked under the chains of tradition tore through their silence with riots, art, uprisings, and declarations of independence. The Xenaxi issued a warrant for Earth's destruction. No one honored it. Human ships were banned from 83 systems. In 40 of them, they landed anyway, and were met with cheers. Ilari Kin, once the silent Dralian elder, addressed her people without telepathic veil for the first time in 3 centuries. Her first sentence was simple. We were silent too long. On Earth, the reaction was mixed. Some called Reyes a martyr. Others called him reckless. But even his critics couldn't deny what had changed. The Galactic Council had ruled through illusion. Earth had shattered it with a single decision, to stop playing nice. A new assembly formed, not perfect, not clean, but real. Voices that had never spoken now wrote the rules. The old elite watched, bitter and afraid, unable to shout over the tidal wave they had tried to muzzle for generations. Reyes never returned. Tala never reappeared. But their final act didn't fade. It multiplied. Because once a single voice breaks the silence, it's never just one for long. Years later, in a school orbiting the edge of a frontier system, a young girl raised her hand during a history lesson. Why didn't the humans just stay quiet like everyone else? Her teacher, a scaled veteran from the broken Council fleets, looked at her for a moment. Then he replied without bitterness. Because silence was never peace. It was just fear. She frowned. So what did the humans do? He smiled faintly. They spoke. She tilted her head. Loud? No, he said. Clearly. The class fell quiet, not out of discipline, but thought. Outside the window, a new flag fluttered on the station's mast, not Earth's, not the Council's, but a circle of stars surrounding an open mouth. Below it the motto, Truth first. Always. And far beyond that classroom, in systems still finding their voices, the story of Earth's final act continued, not as history, but as warning and promise. When they demanded silence, we spoke. When they called it peace, we shouted. And when they tried to erase us, we rewrote the galaxy.